place of starters Friday night, 9:45 in Brisbane, where the Reds are currently $1.50 favourites against the Highlanders, who you can get $2.45 in the head-to-head market. I think the line's right around that 3.5 mark, getting the penalty got 4.5 now for the Highlanders. You can get it $2. Were either of you too surprised to see the Highlanders open up as such big underdogs here?
No, not myself. I think they haven't really they haven't been the best this season, safe to say. They've only won, 2 games. The Reds were pretty good last week. They pushed a good Chiefs team that were missing a few players, but they pushed them pretty hard. And if there was a few calls that sort of didn't go their way, and Quintapai hadn't come from nowhere and knocked the ball out of, I can't remember who it was, hands, but they were pretty much in for a try there. I think that would have really changed the momentum of the game. So yeah, I mean, I've been pretty high on the Reds all season. I did have them and the Brumbies pretty equal, but I think the Brumbies have obviously shown they're probably the best Australian team. But I think the line's about right there. And it was 4.5?
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'll be happy to sort of take that. The Highlanders, they got the win in Suva, but it was hardly convincing, and they're still struggling to play a sort of 80-minute game, and I think the Reds might be able to sort of exploit that, and some of their flair might come through in this game.
Yeah, are you along the same lines there, James? Think the Reds are deserving favourites?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the way they played in the weekend and what they've been doing, they've been pretty impressive, and I'm with you. I think they're the second best side, and once they get the Australian side, so once they get the return of James O'Connor, I see them potentially being even better than the Brumbies. They're a really good outfit. They've got the Jordan Petaia returning onto the wing. He's a classy player as well. So they've just got a really good mix, and like the style that they play. And Highlanders didn't do enough in the weekend against the Drua to convince me that they're better than the Reds, but hoping to be proved wrong, because I'd love to see them get a win over there.
Yeah, no, it would be good to see the Highlanders find some sort of momentum. But in terms of matchup style-wise, it was a pretty... I know there was a lot of kicking. Not all of it seemed to have a point in that Reds-Chiefs game from both sides, to be fair. The Highlanders, obviously, they've got their issues injury-wise in the forward pack, but Josh Dixon does come back from suspension this week. How do you think, stylistically, that Reds sort of up-tempo style of play will match up with the Highlanders? Do you think they'll be wanting to keep it sort of a bit off the cuff again this week?
I think both teams are pretty flexible in how they can play. Both teams do like to kick, obviously the territory being so important, and the game today with the defense pressure teams can put on. But both sides, I think, have the backs that they can use if they want to, and if the conditions suit. So I think both teams will be open to playing whatever style is going to get them across the line, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I think we've seen that probably from the Highlanders more so than anyone. They've started to actually realise that maybe they need to switch up the style of play, that traditional Highlanders rugby where it was kick it into the 22, and we've got this monstrous forward pack who'll just demolish you until you get demoralised and have to kick it back to us. That's maybe not been as effective as it was in previous seasons. So at least it's something for Tony Brown, who is obviously under a bit of pressure. If he can show a bit of adaptation there, does stand them in pretty good stead. Other factor to consider, right, Richard? It was a pretty warm day in Suva when the Highlanders were running around there. It was only a 6-day turnaround. It was 30 degrees and 85% humidity. The Reds, Brad Thorne sort of pre-season trainings and everything are pretty notorious at this stage. He loves to get plenty of miles into the legs of those forward packs. So I don't think we'll see the Reds fading. Do you think the Highlanders can keep pace for them for 80? Could you see maybe that sort of 60-20 effect where in the last 20 and
that's been a real problem, that 60-20 for the Highlanders this season. You think about some of those games, the games against Crusaders, they sort of played very well, and then the Crusaders have just sort of run away with it in the end. I think similar against the Hurricanes, they're just struggling to sort of string a 80-minute performance together. Yeah, they definitely would have rather have an extra day or two's rest, I think. And I think, the way the Drua play as well, like I think I said it last week about the Blues last week, there's some big hits going on both sort of attack and defence. So there would have been a few bruised and sore bodies as well. So yeah, I think they definitely would have liked to have had an extra day or two, and the travel factor as well. The fact that they've gone from Australia to Fiji and then coming back to Australia as well. So bit of a big road trip for them, and I don't think that's going to work in their favour.
No, yeah, it's
Neither gonna.
pretty tough. I've already asked you about one sort of travel factor on today, James, but I don't know if you ever played in Super or the Islands when you were playing Super Rugby, but can't be ideal preparation, right? That playing that sort of game 6 days beforehand.
Yeah, no, I never did the trip to Fiji, unfortunately, although that did look like a good trip. Geez, that crowd was impressive, and that was awesome to see for Super Rugby in itself. It was such a cool occasion for the competition. But yeah, it will be relatively difficult, 6-day turnaround with the travel factor as well. They won't get a lot of training time on the field this weekend, so a lot of it's going to be done in the classroom and trying to recover and get their bodies right for the game. But you sort of spoke about that 60-20, and I feel like that a lot of that comes down to the Highlanders bench. I just don't feel like they've got quite the depth that the other New Zealand teams do. So when they bring on their bench, you're not getting the impact that the Blues, Crusaders and the Hurricanes are getting. When you see their bench come on, you can really see their game lift, and they look to close those games off really well. Whereas you see the Highlanders bench come on and they don't really add much to the game, potentially even drops off a little bit. So I think that's just a little bit to do with the depth in their squad.
Yeah, no, that's certainly. I think that's fair. That just comparing it to the amazing depth that Crusaders, Blues, and even Chiefs, to be fair, have at the moment. So it's something to consider. I think we're all pretty much on the same page here, though. No one's really arguing with the bookies inserting the Reds as slight favourites for that one.
No, not from what we've seen this season. I mean, the Highlanders. I mean, yeah, as James said, I'd love to see the Highlanders get up. It'd be great for them and great morale booster. And I think they're sitting 10th on the table now with only 2 wins, and they've got the Force and the Rebels ahead of them. So this game against the Reds away, they've got a couple of games at home coming up as well against the Force and the Waratahs, which they'll be sort of circling, and then they're back to Australia for the Rebels game. So yeah, their Waratahs game's looking a bit more interesting now, and even that Force game, like the Force of obviously they would have they'd be happy not to have to go over to Perth. It seems like that's a hard trip to do, and then the Rebels away to finish off, which is probably the best scenario for them, you'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But yeah, I think they're going to have to win at least one game on the road by the sounds of things. That 8 spot's certainly much more a question than it was a few weeks ago when they were $1.15 or whatever it was to make the quarterfinals.
We said it was too short. Yeah, it very much was.
Yeah, no,
I know there was a price to not make the quarters there.
Yeah, be a lovely opportunity to lay off.